Spain just drew 1-1 with Iraq. And I know what you were thinking. It's a friendly. It doesn't matter, relax. But here is the thing. It matters completely. Because Lamine Yamal wasn't there. The best player at this World Cup hasn't kicked a ball in 44 days. And Spain open against Cape Verde on June the 15th. 10 days from now. No surgery, no timeline, no guarantees. Just an 18-year-old sitting in a physio room, counting the days. And here is what I need to show you. Because this injury, this wait, these 44 days, it is not the bad news in this story. It is actually the most important part of it. Let me explain what I mean. April 22nd, 2026. Barcelona versus Celta Vigo. Yamal steps up and converts a penalty. And as he follows through, his left hamstring gives way. Biceps femoris. 6 weeks minimum. Pre-World Cup warm-ups. Gone. And Yamal himself said something about that moment that I keep coming back to. He said, "I was afraid it was something serious, or that it could relapse and I would miss the World Cup." Think about that. The most valuable teenager in the history of football, sitting alone with that fear. Spain's manager was asked this week whether Yamal would play against Cape Verde on June the 15th. De La Fuente said, if everything continues, he could be ready. Maybe a few minutes. We'll have to evaluate. Maybe a few minutes. The reigning European champions are going to their World Cup opener, and their best player might get 5 minutes. And to understand why that is catastrophic, you need to understand what Spain are actually missing right now. Because the numbers are genuinely shocking. This season, before the injury, Yamal had 16 goals and 11 assists in 28 La Liga appearances. And his expected assists per 90 minutes put him above 99% of all La Liga players. 99%. And the Ballon d'Or? Last year he finished second in the world at 18 years old, behind only Dembélé, who won a treble with PSG. That is the player Spain are trying to replace with Ferran Torres. His market value is 180 million euros. His release clause is 1 billion. The most valuable teenager in the history of football. And he has a hamstring wrapped in compression bandages 10 days before the World Cup starts. But here is the number that actually stopped me. When you compare Yamal's stats at age 18 to Messi's stats at age 18, not Messi at peak, Messi at the same age, Yamal is 3.3 times more productive. 3.3 times. I need you to sit with that for a second, because we are about to get to the part where that comparison becomes very specific and very strange. December 2007. A UNICEF photo shoot in Barcelona. A 20-year-old Lionel Messi is photographed for a charity campaign. And in one of the frames, he is giving a bath to a baby. That baby was 6 months old. That baby was Lamine Yamal. Yamal's father, Munir, a building painter from Morocco, had this photo for 17 years. He never posted it. He said he was protecting his son from the weight of the comparison, the burden of having Messi's name attached to him before he was old enough to understand what it meant. And then Euro 2024 happened. Spain reached the semi-finals. Yamal was 16. And his father finally posted the photo, with a caption that said just 4 words, the beginning of 2 legends. 5 days after that photo went viral, 5 days, Yamal stepped up in the semi-final against France and bent a strike into the top corner that the keeper didn't even move for. 5 days. Messi's arms around a baby. And then a 16-year-old doing something that made the entire football world stop breathing. And that wasn't even the record he broke that night. At Euro 2024, Yamal registered 4 assists, the most by any player in a single European championship since records began in 1980. He was 16 years old and breaking tournament records that had stood for 40 years. And that goal against France in the semi-final made him the youngest player ever to score in a European championship. 16 years, 362 days old. He also became the youngest player ever to score in a Euro final. And in doing that, and this is the one that got me, he broke Pelé's record as the youngest player to score in any international final. He broke Pelé's record at 16. And when Yamal was asked about the World Cup this summer, he said, "I imagined lifting the World Cup 1,000 times." This 18-year-old has imagined this specific moment 1,000 times. And now he has a hamstring injury and 10 days to find out if the dream he has rehearsed 1,000 times is about to happen. Lamine Yamal was born on July 13th, 2007. The 2026 World Cup final is on July 19th. Do you see where this is going? If Spain get to the final and they are the co-favorites, and Yamal plays, he would win the World Cup at 18 years old. He turns 19 on July the 13th, 6 days before the final. And there is one person in football history who won a World Cup at 18 years old. One. In 92 years of the tournament. Pelé. In 1958. The same Pelé whose record for youngest international final scorer, Yamal, already broke at 16. The photo of Messi holding baby Yamal in 2007, taken when Messi was 20 and about to begin his own journey. And now an 18-year-old who has already broken Pelé's records might go to a World Cup and match the one Pelé record that has stood for 68 years. This isn't football anymore, this is something else. So here is where I land on this. The 44 days without football is not the tragedy of this story. It is the setup. Every great comeback needs doubt. Every great story needs a moment where everything could fall apart. And the fact that Lamine Yamal, the player with Messi's arms in his baby photo, the teenager who broke Pelé's records at 16, the most valuable footballer in the world, the fact that he is the one sitting with a hamstring worry 10 days before the World Cup makes this story better. Because when he comes on, whether that's 5 minutes on June the 15th or the full 90 in the final, everyone watching is going to know exactly what they're seeing. Not a debut, not a breakout. The beginning of an era that was photographed 18 years ago before anyone knew what it meant. And if he lifts that trophy at 18, matching Pelé's record, then the caption his father wrote on that photo was right. Spain open against Cape Verde on June the 15th in Atlanta. That is when we find out. 5 minutes, 45 minutes, or nothing at all. I will be covering every Spain game at this World Cup. Hit subscribe and you will not miss a moment of it. And drop your prediction below. Does Yamal play on June the 15th? And does Spain go all the way? I am reading every single one.